Hi everyone, this is Supply Chain Management and Logistics. In the last class, I explained about how to design the inventory control system by considering the proper amount of safety stock to face the uncertainty of demand and supply. At that time, I emphasized that the issue of how to reduce the safety stock, still maintaining good product availability. Today, I continue to talk about this same issue about the safety stuff, but at this time, I'm gonna emphasize is about the more practical issues. Okay, how to reduce the safety stuff in real practices. So in the last class so far, I just provide you that more about the theoretical background that about the how to reduce the safety stock but still maintaining good product availability. But at this time, I'm going to show you more realistic the techniques and know-hows to reduce the safety stock but maintaining good product availability. So let me get my new the PowerPoint slide here. Okay, here I'm gonna start with this that the so-called the famous the square root rule. Okay, so what is this square root rule? This is very famous theory in that operations management and also supply chain management. That is, let me just read through that. If the number of independent stocking location is you can just imagine this is just a warehouses. Okay, the decrease by n, then the expected level of safety stock will be reduced by the square root of n. So by implication, if you reduce the total number of the warehouses, then you can reduce that the safety stock you store in all those warehouses. Okay, so that's the again the famous square root rule. Okay. So here's the idea is showing that is that famous cases that is about the Amazon versus the border. The Amazon and borders are the two most famous the booksellers in the United States. Okay, but the way they sell their books is quite different. By the way, that Amazon is selling a lot of different product other than the just book in these days, but actually Amazon started their business with the bookseller. Okay, and the thing is that the Amazon and Border have a quite a different business model to sell the bookstore. Basically, Amazon use the online. On the other hand, Borders that is just using the offline. Okay, so here's a brick and mortar. That means is that this is a opposite the meaning of the online business. So brick and mortar means what? This is just any that the common stores you can find in the street. So basically, what I'm showing here is, let me get my note here to show you some drawing. That is, let me say, this is the United States. Okay, so then thing is that you have this limited area to provide a service to your customer, and also just to imagine that your customer disperses the widely in this all the area. Okay, so question is, in order to sell books, okay, you need to have a warehouse. Okay, so question is, where are you going to put your warehouse? Okay, so because probably you may say that is a lot of customer located in that the major city in the United States. So you might put your store in the major city, every cities. Okay, such as let me just indicate this location of a bookstores as a star. So like here and here and here and here and here, and many of those. Okay. So that's the kind of common way you can put the warehouses in the area. Okay. So this is what happened to the borders. Okay. So especially because the borders use offline, the brick and mortar, just a conventional, the stores, okay, to way sell their books to the customer. So they need to have this location of a warehouse by close to the customer. Okay. So that's the kind of borders, the approach. On the other hand, this is not the only way we can have the put the location of the warehouses. That another the story could be that is okay. Even though you have a widely dispersed customer in this limited area in the United States, but still you might find that if you put these so many the warehouses all the every this the the major cities, it's too expensive. And also, according to the what we learned right before, okay, then much. If you increase the number of warehouses you put in an area, you have to have a more safety stock, okay. So, in order to reduce the safety stock and also reduce that cost of having the multiple warehouses, probably I just having just warehouses, just only the several prices like that. Only these like 5 prices. Okay. So that way, compared to the border, this is kind of Amazon case. Amazon doesn't have a lot of warehouse in the area. Okay. It's supposed to have only a few warehouses, not only a single one, but even though that, but still have a lot of, not many, that the warehouse in the area. So that way they try to save the a lot of cost regarding the safety stock and also the building cost. Okay. So one of the significant advantage having this is kind of saying that is again, as I explained before, this is the kind of cases of a centralization versus the decentralization. Okay. So this is kind of aggregating the safety stock in terms of location of warehouses. Okay, so supply points is here is that warehouses are supply points. So in other words, by aggregating the location of supply points, that way you can save the safety stock that much, you can get a benefit. Okay. So it's kind of very significant, obvious that is there's significant advantage of having these just a few warehouses versus the more multiple than many more warehouses in the area. That is what you can save the a lot of safety stock. That much is going to be take up less cost. But still, on the other hand, let me get back to the slide here. Okay, that is that aggregation has two major disadvantage. What is that? Yeah, one weakness. First weakness is you are not able to be fast to reach your customer. Why? Because basically the physical distance from the customers will be long. Okay, so that's why you are not able to respond to your customer needs to right away. Okay, by having the aggregated location of warehouses. And second weakness is what? Yeah, transportation costs. Again, because you're going to have a long physical distance between the warehouses and customers. That much is going to cost you a lot to deliver the product. Okay. So in fact, so in these days, especially in Amazon, they try to aggregate that not only the location of the physical warehouses, they try to aggregate in terms of information. Okay. So idea is very simple. That is, let me get my notes again. Let's say you have this area, again, the United States, okay? I'm sorry, the drawing is ugly, but anyhow, okay? Let's say again, the customers I have to cover is widely dispersed in the area. So question is, how can I handle all these different customer in the different locations, okay, by having just a few number of the warehouse. Thing is, probably I just divided this entire area into these several region. Okay, so here's that, such as I'm just making a story. Okay, this is not exact design what happened. Okay, so by this way, so basically you divide the entire United States area into that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 area. So you're going to have each single the warehouse to cover each these area. That is such as here and here and here and here and here and last one. Okay. So that way, if some, for example, okay, in this A area, customer in this location, particular customer wants some book, then probably once this customer order, this is a specific book through the Amazon website, then Amazon then take this order and then also find this book from the what? The warehouse that is charged for this a reason, okay, and then find out this book from this particular the warehouse and then send it to the customer the house. Okay, so that's the way it is. But on the other hand, what happened? That is, by having just a few number of warehouses instead of many the warehouses. In this case, the Amazon doesn't is supposed to have not many the safety stock. So let me have another case, that is, this particular customer wants, that is such as the supply chain management textbook. But on the other hand, the Amazon find out that the specific the warehouses charged for this area region do not have the supply chain management textbook. Then what shall we do? What shall the Amazon do? Okay, that is, just instead have another backup from the publishers. Okay, Amazon already connected all these warehouses through the internet. So like information sharing, okay, by connection. So that way, okay, what happened is, again, go back to this customer. Customer ordered this specific book, the supply chain management textbook. But on the other hand, Amazon find out there's a no book in that the warehouse is right away at this time. Then probably he just was searching for this book in nearby this A region, such as B and the C. Okay. So looking for this supply chain network, supply chain management textbook, okay, in the B warehouse and C warehouses, and then find out, if they find out, then Amazon just send the books to the customer directly, okay? So that way, the Amazon doesn't have to prepare a lot of safety stock, even though they have just a few number of warehouses to cover the entire United States area. Okay, so this is about the virtual, so-called virtual aggregation. Okay, so here's the idea: is in case of some stock out in a specific warehouses, okay, then another warehouse can fill it up the order because they are all connected by the information. Okay, so that way, company can enjoy the better responsiveness, and then they can save the transportation cost and also having maintaining good product availability, but at the same time, doesn't have to have a lot of safety stock. Okay, because I mean, if there's some places you can get a product, okay, the books, like in the Amazon cases, why don't I have to have a lot of books, that same book in my warehouse, okay? So that way we can actually save a lot of safety stock. Another idea to reduce the safety stock by using the aggregation is so-called specialization, okay? So what is this specialization is about, okay? That is, this again idea is very simple. That is, you try to store whether it's all the item in the each location, or you just having a different item in the different stores, different warehouses. Okay, so could be a good example is air conditioner and the heater. Both are electronics, but the demands are quite sensitive to the weather condition, as you know. Okay, so for example, let me get my notes again. Let's say you have the the store, okay, electronic store, to selling the air conditioner and also the heater. Okay, so in the area, in the north area, as you can easily imagine that is in the north area that is very cold. In the south area is very warm places. Okay, and the hot in the summer. So you have two stores, two electric stores, okay, in the north area and the south area, okay. So anyhow, you need to sell this heater and the air conditioner, two electrics. And let me just a simple that make it simple case, okay. Just selling only these two kinds of electronics, okay. Then the thing is, you might have an air conditioner and a heater and air conditioner and a heater to sell this both the electronics in the north the store and the south store. Okay, but the question is, how many doors you going to put in the north and south area? Okay, such as the normal way you can think is, okay, because you have to sell this to both the electronics in the both area. So probably you might have a same number of inventory like this. Okay, both are 100, 100, and then also in the south in the 100, 100, the air conditioner and the heaters. Okay, but on the other hand, the demand is quite different, as we know. Okay, in the seasonality we learned before. That is, air conditioner and the heaters are both very sensitive to the the weather condition. So north area is normally is very cold area. It's a very cold in the winter, but in the even in the middle of summer, it's not so much the hot. It's the warm place. But in the south, quite different place. That is, in the middle of summer is very hot. Okay, so air conditioner demand is so high. On the other hand, in the winter, okay, it's kind of warm. It's not very cold, okay. So probably they don't need so much heater, even though just a few, okay. So that way we can see that, okay, get the idea that is probably is not a good idea to have the same number of the safety stock or inventories for the both of air conditioner and heater in that same in the north and the south area. Okay, so probably by using this specialization, okay, I may have the heaters like 150 instead of 100. Okay, but less number of air conditioner. Okay. And then also in the south area, probably this is a very warm place. So probably they need a less number of the heater for needed. So probably I just put it the 50, the heater. But air conditioner, because in the middle of summer in the south area is very hot, probably the demand is high. So I'm going to put them on 150. Okay. So that way, I'm going to specialize. Here's a specialization is just a simple idea. You try to aggregate in terms of product items. Okay. Especially having very the 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 different the demand. Okay. So that way I don't have to have a lot of safety stock. Okay. So that's the idea about the specialization. Okay. So let me get back the PowerPoint slide again. Okay. So this is kind of again the effect of aggregation. If that the virtual aggregation means that is you try to aggregate safety stock in terms of the information and location of the warehouses. But at this time, specialization is about you try to aggregate the safety stock in terms of a product items. Okay. On the other hand, the benefit you can get from the specialization can be very different, depends on some things. Okay. Here's something is about the coefficient of a variance of a demand. Okay. So basically saying if you have a higher covariances, then you can reduce the safety stock from the specialization. Okay. So what is this about the covariance? Let me get my notes again. Okay. So here's that. Talking about demand, you have two products. Okay. So is a correlation coefficient. Coefficient is this is the terms you learn from these statistics. What is that? This is a law. This is not a line. Okay, this is a law. This is another Greek letter. Okay, so correlation coefficient means this is indicating the direction of a two movement. Okay, such as if you have a A product and a B product, then if correlation coefficient normally have any number between D -1 to D1. Okay. So if the correlation coefficient is close to D1, that means what? This movement of demand is the same direction. If the demand of A is increasing, but at the same time, demand of B is also increasing. So opposite is also same. What is that? If the correlation coefficient is high, close to D1, then if A the demand is decreasing, then at the same time, the B's demand is decreasing. Okay, so basically the direction of movement of demand, both product A and B are the same. That is when correlation coefficient of these two products demands are close to D1. On the other hand, what about this -1? If the correlation coefficient is close to the -1, that means what? It will move to the opposite direction. Okay, so such as, let me just draw it, delete this one. In case if the demand is A is increasing, but at the same time demand of a B product is decreasing. So again, opposite is the same. What is that? If demand of the A is decreasing, the demand of B is increasing. That is what happened when the correlation coefficient of these two products demand is close to D -1. Okay. So basically, if the law, the coefficient of correlation coefficient of the demand, two products demand is close to the -1, that means what? The movement of these two products demand is the opposite. Okay. But what about zero? Zero is possible. Okay, correlation coefficient. If it's a correlation coefficient of zero, that means the demand of A and B are not correlated each other, has no relationship at all. It's totally independent of each other. Okay. So according to this, what happened here is if the correlation coefficient over the demand is high, that means close to the +1. That means what? You can easily aggregate it, those product, and then make a specialization. Okay, why? Because the demand pattern is the same. If is a weather is getting hot, then the demand is increasing both product, then you can easily specialize them, okay, and aggregate them. But on the other hand, if that disaggregated product, that means what? If you disaggregate it, that means that is a you try to try to see those products demand are totally independent of each other. Okay, then much is going to be very hard to forecast their demand. Why? Because if you just saying that is two demands are totally independent of each other, that means what? You have to collect all the different the data to forecast two different the product's demand. Okay, that much is going to be very hard to forecast this disaggregated demand. And also that the benefit of specialization is can be different depends on the value of item. Basically, if it's a product item itself, the inventory itself is very expensive, then much you can get a more benefit from the specialization. Okay. So why? Because normally inventory holding cost is proportion to the product item, inventory value. In other words, that if you try to store the more expensive item, then much you have to spend more money, okay, to hold that inventory. So that's why if you aggregate the safety stock, then much you can reduce the safety stock. Then when the value of inventory is very high, then much you can save a lot of cost, okay? Also, demand size matters, okay? That is, here's the saying is the fast moving item and also the slow moving item. What is the difference between this fast moving and slow moving? Fast moving then is normally demand size is huge, okay? That is a so-called fast moving item. On the other hand, if it's a slow moving item, that means the size of demand is relatively small, okay? So basically it depends on the demand size. You might have a selectively choose that you put the product in the different locations. Okay, that is such as if you have a huge demand products, okay, that product have a very the fast moving, okay, then probably is a good idea to have a decentralized location to the close to the customer. Why? Because you need to provide those product fast, okay. But on the other hand, if you find out that this product, that product demand is relatively small, then probably your customer may wait, okay, for some times to receive the product from you. So you might just take time so to deliver the product to the customer. So that much is you're not gonna have any big trouble to have just a centralized warehousing system, okay, that just far away from the customer's places, okay. And then next, the idea to aggregate the safety stock, that is about the product substitution, okay. The product substitution means you try to substitute, okay, a certain product with other product, okay. So, but here in order to substitute, I mean, for example, let's say the customer wants a specific A item, okay, to buy. But on the other hand, you find out this A item is out of stock. You are not able to get this product to provide a service to your customer. So instead of product A, probably you sell the product B, okay, to the customer. That way, customer satisfied with that. Okay, that is just the idea of a product substitution. Okay, but on the other hand, there's a big assumptions you have to make. customer have to perceive this product A and the product B are not so much different, okay? Basically, if this is about the apple and orange, you are not able to use this product substitution, okay? So instead of, let me get my note here. Instead of you having the apple and the orange, this is quite a very different fruits, okay? So you're not able to probably just substitute the apple with orange or apple with, orange with apple, okay? But on the other hand, okay, sometimes you might switch this different kind of the fruits, such as if it's about the same orange, okay, as I know, the two famous oranges we can find in the store is navel orange. This is a kind of orange you can find in the store, okay? And then there's another kind of types of orange that is cracker. Both are the same orange, okay? Then also the taste is not so much different. Then probably you not, as a store manager, okay, you not have any trouble to substitute the navel orange with the Caracara orange, or the substitute Caracara orange with the navel orange. That much. I mean, in case if you have a quite different product item like an apple and the orange, then probably you have no choice other than they have a huge, the enough amount of safety stock, both apple and orange. Why? Because their taste are so different and customer perceive this is a totally two different products, okay? But on the other hand, if this is about the navel and Cara orange, okay, then customer perceive it is almost the same products. Then probably you don't have to prepare a lot of the safety stock for the both the navel and Cara orange. Why? Because in any time the customer wants the navel orange. But on the other hand, if the navel orange is stock out right now in your store, then probably you have no trouble to provide it Cara orange instead of a navel orange to that customer. Okay. The another story is the same, right? Okay, such as one customer just drop by your fruit store and then find out they wants to buy the Cara orange, but unfortunately you find out you don't have any the Cara orange any longer. So probably you just easily provide the navel orange instead of Cara orange. So because you know that easily switch between the navel and Cara orange, then probably you don't have to prepare a lot of the safety stock both for the navel and Cara orange. Okay, so that's the just the main idea about the product substitution. Okay, but by the way, that is as I heard, the Cara orange is a sweeter, is known to be the sweeter and less sour than the navel orange. Okay. We can classify the product substitution into the two types. The first one is manufacturer-driven, the one-way substitution, and the second one is customer-driven, two-way substitution. So what's the difference between them? That is about the who determine this substitution, okay? So let me talk about the manufacturing-driven one-way substitution. So basically, the manufacturing-driven one-way substitution determined by the what? The manufacturer, the seller. So let me get the example, such as one day you try to buy the RAM memory chips for your personal computer. So RAM memory chip. So at the start, okay, you're thinking about having the just 2 GB, the RAM memory, okay? So you drop by one of the electric or the computer store and ask for this 2 GB the RAM memory chip. But on the other hand, unfortunately, okay, you find out that store doesn't have this 2 GB okay chips right now. So you try to just getting out there and then drop by the another store. But before that, the store manager stopped you, okay? And then they give the propose, that is, instead of selling the 2 GB, that you can buy the 4 GB at the store, okay, at the price of the 2 GB. So what will you do? Yeah, obviously you will say thank you, okay? Why? Because I can buy the what 4 GB, the better the product at the price of the 2 GB, okay? So basically this is about the low end and high end product, okay? Normally the low end, high end product is a very same kind of model and product items. But difference between them is normally high-end product has more functions and a higher quality, and also the more expensive. But on the other hand, the low-end product is very similar to the high-end product. On the other hand, has the less functions and also probably the poorer the quality, and also is cheaper. Okay. So in fact, what happened here is you can buy the high-end product at the price of low end. You will accept this proposal, okay? So that way you can satisfy this deal, and then you can buy your product you want, okay? So this is what happened to the manufacturer-driven, the one-way substitution. Then what about the benefit for the store? Okay, even though the store have to sell this high-end product at the price of a low end, but on the other hand, the store doesn't have to prepare a lot of safety stock for both the low end and high end in this case. Why? Because the store easily know, that is, he can substitute low end with a high end in any time. Okay, so that much this store doesn't have to prepare a lot of safety stock for both these products. Okay. And but suddenly this is what determined by the manufacturer. Why? Is who proposes that at the first place? Is that is a seller, the manufacturer. And also, why is it one way? Because you are able to substitute the low end product with high end only. You are not able to substitute the high end with low end, right? Okay, what kind of stupid customer will buy the low end product at the price of high end? Okay, right? So that's why this is so-called one way, not a two way. Okay, so let me get my PowerPoint slide again. But again, that is that the degree of this substitution can be influenced by the several things. The first, if demand uncertainty is high, then suddenly the benefit from this substitution is increased. Why? That much you can reduce a lot of safety stock. And also the correlation of demand matters. What? If correlation of demand between the substitutable product is less positive, then benefit from the substitutes increases. Why is that? That is, as we learn, the correlation coefficient indicating the movement of two product demands. Okay, so according to that, that is, if the correlation coefficient is less positive than is negative, that means what? The movement of these two demands, in this case is 2 GB and the 4 GB chips, that is what? It's opposite, right? In other hands, at the same time, that is what? If the demands of a 2 GB increase, then demands of a 4 GB is decrease. If demand of a 2 GB is decreasing, then the demand of a 4 GB increasing is opposite. Okay, why is there so much benefit from the product substitution? Why? Because I mean, just imagine that if both 2 GB and 4 GB demand, the movement is the same, so correlation coefficient is very positive, close to the 1. then what happened? Both demand are increasing, so then much you are not able to substitute the product. Okay, why? Because both product demand is increasing at the same time. Okay, then much you're going to, is very possible that you have a shortage for both product at the same time. Okay, that way you are not able to substitute the product. But on the other hand, if this movement of two product demand is opposite, then what? Even though one product is demand is high, but because the other product demand is low, so you might have enough safety stock, so you can easily substitute that the high demand product. Okay. And also let me get back the PowerPoint slide. Okay. And also if the cost is a difference, the cost difference between the high end, low end are increasing, then actually the benefit of substitutes is decrease, right? Yeah, certainly. I mean, go back to this example. That is, if 2 GB and 4 GB, okay, that is price is quite a different than much. The store have to get this benefit, and then why? Because the customer will buy the 2 GB, 4 GB at the price of 2 GB. Okay, so then much is that the store will sell this 4 GB at the price of the 2 GB is the last price, then much the store get the damage. Okay, so that's why if there's a too much cost difference between high-end and low-end product, probably product substitution is not a good idea. Okay. Okay, what about another kind of the product substitution? That is a customer-driven two-way substitution. At this time, who initiate the substitution is a customer. Okay. So why is it two-way? That is, let me have an example. Okay. So for example, let's at this time, I'm trying to buy the shirt. Okay. Some color is, my favorite color is let's say this yellow. So basically I'm trying to buy the yellow shirt. Okay. So I drop by one of the shirts selling store. Okay. And then looking for the yellow shirts. I have the perfect design that I like. Okay. So I have to just choosing the yellow color. But unfortunately, again, that store I drop by doesn't have a yellow color. Okay, so what shall we do? That is, the store manager again, the propose that is that instead of a yellow color, okay, the store has the white color. Okay, but with the exactly same the design and the same shape and the same size. Okay. So the store say that it's okay, it's almost the same size and the same design and the same, everything is the same other than just the color. So why not just buy the white color shirt, okay? So I see that not so much different, okay? I don't have to particularly stubborn about that, okay? So I may choose just a white color shirt, okay? So that way I can, the store can easily substitute the yellow shirt with a white shirt, okay? So in this case, who started? Who proposed that? Who determined this substitution? Actually, it's not the seller. It's not a store. It's a me, okay? The customer, they choose to have a substitution or not, okay? So that's why this is so-called the customer-driven, the two-way substitution. Why is it two-way? Because at this time we don't have no high end and no the low end. Okay, why? Because regarding the quality or functions or what the prices is exactly same, so there's no differences. Okay, so that's why that you can substitute in either any way with one. Okay. So for example, you can substitute the yellow with white. You can substitute white with the yellow anytime, okay? Because there's no difference between the products here, okay? Substitutable products. So that's why we call this is a two-way substitution, okay? But again, that is the customer-driven two-way substitution can be affected by the two things. The first one is demand uncertainty. Yeah, obviously, again, under any situation, if you have a high demand uncertainty, you can get a more benefit from the aggregation. This substitution is, again, another type of aggregation. And also correlation of demand is between the substitutable product also the matters. What is that? If correlation of the demands is decreasing, is negative, again, the benefit of a substitutable product, substitution is increasing. Okay, why? Because as I explained before, for the manufacturing-driven one-way substitution, okay, if you have the negative, the correlation between the two products demands, then that much you can easily substitute the product for any case, okay? I think it's a good time to stop. So let me continue with the next time, okay? So that's it for today. See you next time.